At first glance, you're just driving down the road. The water around is calm, the scenery looks like a postcard, and nothing gives away that just a few dozen feet below the surface lies an engineering marvel. Welcome to the Eiresund Tunnel, of the most remarkable underwater crossings connecting Denmark and Sweden. Its uniqueness lies in the way it seems to dissolve into the landscape. On one side, there's a bridge stretching into the distance. On the other, an artificial island where the bridge suddenly disappears, giving way to an invisible tunnel nearly 5 miles long, hidden from the eyes of tourists and even local residents. The tunnel begins on Pebberholm, a patch of land created artificially solely for this project. The architects decided to hide the entrance to the tunnel right here to avoid visual clutter along the coastline and not interfere with maritime navigation. This engineering solution made it possible to combine an elevated bridge with an underwater tunnel into a single seamless complex, resulting in something truly magical. Underwater, the tunnel isn't simply laid inside a pipe, it consists of 31 sectional modules, each of which was constructed on shore, then towed out to sea and submerged with remarkable precision. Moreover, the structure is designed to withstand not only water pressure, but also impacts from possible ship collisions, earthquakes, and even unpredictable movements of marine wildlife. The tunnel's creators compare it to a giant Lego set, except that each piece weighs hundreds of tons. Few drivers passing through it realize just how grand a structure they are crossing. For them, it's just a road. Now imagine, you're driving along, completely unaware, while above your head are dozens of feet of water and marine life. And if you think that this visual camouflage trick is the pinnacle of engineering, the next story will show you just what people are capable of when they need to reach the bottom. A dangerous abyss. Depth is one of the most difficult challenges for engineers. With every additional foot, the pressure increases, the risk of collapse grows, and construction materials start to behave differently. That is why the Seikan Tunnel in Japan deserves special attention. It is the deepest underwater tunnel on the planet, running more than 700 feet below sea level. It wasn't just dug out, it was carved through a true stone hell, where a single miscalculation could have led to disaster. Construction of the tunnel began back in the mid-1970s, when Japan faced the need to connect its two main islands, Honshu and Hokkaido land. Existing sea transport was often at the mercy of storms, and air travel couldn't handle the volume. The solution was to dig beneath the seabed of the Tsugaru Strait. But no one could have imagined the problems the country would face. Over more than 10 years of construction, there were numerous incidents of flooding, rock collapses, and even human casualties. The geological conditions were so unstable that new drilling methods had to be invented right on site. A unique double lining technique was used. The outer shell of the tunnel absorbed the main pressure, while the inner shell served as the transportation artery. At the same time, the temperature inside remained stable, and the humidity was kept under control thanks to ventilation systems that still amaze specialists with their reliability. The tunnel is capable of withstanding even tsunami impacts thanks to smart hydraulic shock absorbers and airtight locks. And now imagine, trains rush through this tunnel at high speed, carrying thousands of passengers who have no idea that beneath them lies crushing darkness and thousands of tons of water. But what if the tunnel is not just deep, but stretches for dozens of miles ahead, connecting entire countries? Now that's a whole different level. Through the ocean? When it comes to underwater tunnels, it's impossible not to mention a true icon of engineering, the Channel Tunnel, which connects the United Kingdom and France. This tunnel runs beneath the English Channel and stretches for almost 40 miles, of which 31 miles are entirely underwater. It is the longest underwater tunnel in the world. The idea of connecting the island to the mainland had been in the air since the 19th century, but it was only realized at the end of the 20th. Construction took more than 6 years, and the total cost of the project exceeded $20 billion. Work was carried out simultaneously from both sides of the channel, and when the two teams met under the seabed, the alignment difference was less than an inch. Engineering precision worthy of applause! But the main thing is how the tunnel operates. It's not just trains that travel through it. It consists of 3 parallel tubes for train traffic and 1 service tunnel. If an emergency occurs, the system instantly shuts off the necessary section, pumps are activated, and trains keep moving while rescuers do their work. Here there are powerful fans installed, a fire suppression system, and even its own railway police, who patrol the tunnel using drones. Interestingly, entire colonies of marine organisms live beneath the tunnel, and the tunnel itself has affected the migration routes of fish. But if you think building under the sea is hard, imagine having to construct a tunnel in a place where the ground is constantly shaking. A tunnel in hell. Welcome to the Bosphorus, the strait that separates Europe and Asia. Here, right beneath the restless waters, lies the Marmaray Tunnel, an engineering marvel built quite literally on the edge of a geological abyss. Why? Because it crosses the active fault zone of the North Anatolian tectonic plate, very one that has destroyed Istanbul more than once. project was considered insane, but in the early 2000s, Turkey took the plunge. Building an underwater tunnel to connect the European and Asian sides of Istanbul seemed like the only solution to the transportation crisis. However, every foot of the underwater section had to be reinforced with additional shock-absorbing elements capable of withstanding not just earthquakes, but a series of tremors with the epicenter right in the strait. The unique feature of Marmaray is its system of automatic emergency locks and sensors that monitor even the slightest changes in the ground. In case of danger, the tunnel can be closed within seconds. In addition, it consists of submerged sections, each of which is securely anchored but can shift by several inches without being damaged. During construction, archaeologists discovered ancient ships here that had sunk back in Byzantine times. This led to months-long delays, but allowed the project to be included in textbooks as an example of combining modern engineering with cultural heritage. A train through the water. When the Bay Tunnel in Japan first opened to passengers, the reaction was unexpected. Some people refused to board the trains, while others got off in a panic after feeling claustrophobic. No wonder. You get on the train, and within a minute you find yourself in a glass tube surrounded by darkening water. It creates the illusion that you're flying through the ocean, all at high speed. This tunnel is part of the Aqualine Highway, which connects the two shores of Tokyo Bay. The engineers didn't just build a transportation link, they created an infrastructural masterpiece. Half of the route runs over a bridge above the water, and then the road goes into a tunnel almost 6 miles long. The main highlight is the observation capsules built into the structure, which allow you to look into the underwater world. But behind this effect lies an incredible technological foundation. The air filtration system ensures that passengers never feel stuffy, while reinforced walls made of multi-layered glass provide absolute protection even against shock waves. At the same time, the tunnel is equipped with noise suppression, so the train literally glides in silence. Many people come here not for the journey itself, but for the experience, because you won't see anything like this anywhere else. But not all tunnels are so open and spectacular. There are also those that seem to be deliberately hidden so that no one notices their presence. A secret beneath the highway. Sometimes you're driving down the highway, listening to music, lost in your thoughts, and you don't even realize that you're already underwater. This is exactly how the Clyde Bay Tunnel is designed, running beneath the River Clyde in Scotland. It starts in the city and gradually, almost imperceptibly, descends underwater without any of the usual signs of a tunnel, no arch, no massive entrance, no warning signs. Only when you notice a change in sound and a slight pressure in your ears do you realize you're already under the river. This tunnel is built to be completely invisible. The reason isn't aesthetics, but safety. It was designed to be hidden from potential threats, such as terrorist attacks or natural disasters. At the same time, its construction is extremely reliable. Arched sections are used here, lined with a steel frame and special concrete that is resistant to saltwater and chemical compounds. Engineers faced one of the most unstable soils in Britain, wet silt sand and quicksand. To prevent the tunnel from sinking, a unique injection stabilization technology was used. A special mixture was pumped into the voids to reinforce the ground. In addition, hundreds of sensors operate along the entire length of the tunnel, monitoring even the slightest changes in pressure, water level, and movements of the Earth's crust. The most curious thing is that when the tunnel first opened, many drivers didn't believe they were actually driving underwater. Everything was so smooth and unremarkable that they had to hand out special brochures with illustrations. Thus was born the phenomenon of the ghost tunnel structure you see only in documents and maps, but not in reality. And if invisibility can be an engineering solution, then the next project is a pure challenge to nature. Here, construction was not for aesthetics, but to tame the elements. The Norwegian experiment. Norwegian fjords are not just beautiful scenery, they are a serious challenge for any form of transportation. Mountains, narrow sea inlets, and unstable weather, all of this makes traveling across the country extremely difficult. That is why the Norwegians embarked on an ambitious project, the Lardal Tunnel. And although it is not entirely underwater, part of it runs beneath the fjords, making this place a true testing ground for engineering solutions. It took more than 4 years to drill the tunnel through the mountains and beneath the waters. The sections under the fjords proved to be the most challenging: water pressure, layered rock, and high humidity. Engineers used a multi-layer sealing technology, one layer of concrete, then an insulating membrane, then concrete again. All of this was monitored in real time using laser topography. An error of even an inch could have led to flooding. The Lardal Tunnel became the first in the world to use visual neurostimulation special light zones with different colors and landscapes that imitate daylight. This helps drivers maintain concentration and avoid tunnel transier phenomenon, where a person loses orientation due to the monotony of the underground road. Today, this tunnel is recognized as exemplary. It is being replicated in other countries, and it has become a symbol of sustainable infrastructure and a smart approach to nature. But there are places where tons of concrete are still no guarantee of safety. Sometimes, construction is driven not only by convenience, but also by fear of what might happen. The secret of Japan. Japan is a country where natural disasters are always looming. Earthquakes, tsunamis, typhoons. Here, the threat is not hypothetical, but a daily reality. That is precisely why the Kamijoto Tunnel, which connects the islands of the Kyushu region, is built as if it were not just a transportation facility, but a bunker for the apocalypse. At a depth of more than 400 feet underwater runs a highway, reinforced with the latest technology. A multi-layered protection system is used here. It's not just concrete and rebar, but special seismic absorbing panels that move with the earth during an earthquake, cushioning the impact. The tunnel literally plays with the tectonic waves without being destroyed. In addition, every element is duplicated. Electricity, ventilation, evacuation routes all are backed up with redundancy, just like on a nuclear submarine. There are even separate chambers where you can take shelter in case of flooding. They are airtight and autonomous. This tunnel is not as famous as others, because the Japanese deliberately avoid advertising it. It is considered a strategic facility, including in the event of military action. However, experts who have visited the site claim that this is one of the most technologically advanced tunnels on the planet. Interestingly, passengers traveling through it most often have no idea just how complex a system is operating above their heads. But there are also tunnels in the world that almost no one uses. They were built with hope and then simply abandoned. The Ghost Tunnel. Somewhere on the New Jersey coast, right at the base of the Old Port, lies the entrance to a tunnel that has long been forgotten. This is part of an unrealized project from the early 20th century, when there were plans to connect the mainland United States with Long Island by means of an underwater railway. Construction began, drilling was active, but soon the project was put on hold. The official reason: lack of funding. Unofficially, geological instability and political intrigue. The tunnel itself is almost complete. Several miles run beneath the seafloor, lined with cladding, staircases and ventilation. But it has never been used. Its entrances are welded shut and access is restricted. Sometimes diggers and urban explorers manage to get inside, filming videos of water seeping through cracks and rust eating away at the old steel. Some say they've heard the hum, as if the tunnel is still alive. Amazingly, the tunnel is so sturdy that, according to calculations, it could still be put into operation even now. The only question is money and politics. It's a dead giant, a forgotten masterpiece of engineering. And yet, it was once meant to become the main logistics corridor of the United States. And if that tunnel is a thing of the past, then our next subject is a step into the future. What once seemed like science fiction is now being built and put to use. The future is already here. In the very heart of the United Arab Emirates, there is a tunnel that looks more like a space laboratory than a transportation hub. It connects the mainland of Abu Dhabi with the artificial Al Maria Island, and its main feature is complete automation. This tunnel is literally controlled by artificial intelligence. The monitoring system analyzes every element of the structure in real time. Sensors track temperature, humidity, water pressure, and the presence of microcracks. If a defect appears, the repair robots installed inside the tunnel are instantly notified. They are capable of fixing minor damages without human intervention, replacing bolts, treating seams, and checking for air tightness. Moreover, the system is capable of learning. Based on the collected data, it predicts where and suggests engineering solutions. The tunnel's operations service is more like a NASA command center. Here, it's not just engineers at work, but also IT specialists, analysts, and even neurophysiologists. Electric buses and autonomous capsules travel through the tunnel and they don't require drivers. A passenger gets into the cabin, sets the route, and the system selects the optimal time to minimize the load on the structure. This is the first tunnel where transport and engineering networks operate as a single whole, managed by a digital brain. And so our list comes to an end, from invisible wonders to digital titans. Beneath the water lie true treasures of engineering. Some of them have long become part of our lives, while others are just a hint of what transportation of the future might be.